Go home, fuckboy. Hey, everybody. Here's Frauded or Troll's little fuckboy that he's paying.
I'm not scared of a camel, Benson.
That's good.
Never have, never will.
I am a little concerned about your safety.
Why would you say that? Is that a threat? Because things don't scare me. We've had showdowns before. You deleted your video because you and your husband couldn't handle the hack, so. Why don't you go be with your other boyfriend, Chris?
Yeah, so that's that little boyfriend of Frauded or Troll. Not little, but anyway, he's paying him to follow me. So this little fuckboy, when he's not at a public meeting, he'll show up where I'm live streaming and he'll hide and try to take pictures of me. So we just wanted to make that public announcement. But anyway, so we're here tonight. Hey, Len, how you doing? We're here at the ENGLEWOOD City Council meeting, and it's a late start. So, Nasty Nathaniel, what's up? Amanda, Irish Rover. I have the full mod team tonight. So, everybody, mods have control of the chat. So, you've seen the rules. Don't hijack the chat. Don't talk shit about my people. And if you want to troll me, just send me an email. You might get a warning, you might not. So, but mods have full control to send you packing. So I'm here tonight with Stacy. And Stacy is going to make public comment as well this evening. You guys met Stacy back in January, if you'll recall the cold snap here in ENGLEWOOD, when ENGLEWOOD decided to not help me with Robert when we had multiple days of below zero temps. So that weekend, we met Stacy, and we helped her out, and we ultimately gave her a shelter in a motel. So,
I'm giving you a little heads up, but you might want to keep track of the Colorado laws on records requested. There's about to be a really big change,
no shit, Sherlock.
and it's not for your guys' benefit.
Okay, fuckboy.
Yeah, I hope you don't get your mom with that mouth. She'd be insulted. Maybe rolling in her grave.
He's probably not quite all there, and he's Jeffrey Martinez's suck boy, if you will, over in Sheridan. So he's here to start shit tonight, and I'm sure ENGLEWOOD PD is thrilled. So anyway, let's have a seat and continue to talk about what's going on in good old ENGLEWOOD and Littleton. So today, Stacy and I had an interesting interaction over in Littleton PD. And we didn't live stream it for this very reason. because this little thing, whatever he is, likes to show up and create problems. And I do fear for his safety, because somebody's probably gonna fuck him up, I'm just saying. So, he's not the brightest of critical thinkers, if you will. Katie Kidman, what's going on, lady? Bokamo, there we go, now we got the full gamut. We got the full gamut of mods in the house. Oh, Irish. The stories. So, last Thursday, Stacy called me in a panic in the park in Littleton because Englewood has chased her all over the place, and so she's in Englewood, or in Littleton, because she's trying to access services in both cities. She's been working on housing. Trust me, she's trying to activate, she is activating resources and using day resources on a regular basis. Her and I have spent quite a bit of time together since we met her back in January. And I'm concerned about her because she is a vulnerable woman out here. And so the Littleton cops are harassing her last Thursday night. And the guy she's with, the only person with her, ends up leaving and leaves her by herself. So I had to put her in a motel so she could be safe. On the way back to try to access the rest of her services, she falls out of an RTD bus and dislocates her knee. And she now has a leg 8 times the size that it should be. Here she comes. Did you get it? Hey, nobody confronted you out there, did they?
No.
Okay, all right.
Nobody did.
We got a little stalker boy situation right there.
A stalker.
Yeah, this guy, he likes to show up and start shit. Well, outside?
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's what I hear.
Somebody having it out outside?
Yeah, I couldn't see them, I could just hear it.
What, like downstairs?
No, it sounded like it was like over further, you know when you go out that door, it was over to the left.
Where did,
I couldn't see.
oh, he's in there. So DMA is here tonight as well to, I guess, give his presentation on what he was going to follow up on.
Huh?
Inside here?
I thought it was outside, because I could hear it clear as day inside, the doors were closed, so
What did you hear?
somebody cussing somebody out.
Must be happening outside then.
Let my radio clear here and I'll see if I can get somebody to drive around. Okay?
Okay. I kept trying to turn and look behind me. I'm turning like I'm hearing it. Let's see. It's really warm in here compared to outside.
You did an officer go and have them drive outside the city center, see if they can locate the students.
We have wonderful allied staff here this evening.
Ryan, what's up?
We have Dave, the supervisor, who's out there talking to fuckboy. We have Dwight, and we have that other guy over there, I can't remember his name. But definitely the A-team on for allied security tonight. However, we had quite an ordeal this afternoon in the library again, when Allied, the company, not the supervisor, sent a rogue employee who tried to collect my name to use the public restroom. And then, when that didn't go his way, he threatened to call the cops on me. And then Dave there, the supervisor for Allied, great guy, by the way. Guy, you guys, I'm telling you, that guy is upstanding right there. He told him to go take a break, and he didn't listen to his direct supervisor and continued to taunt me and walk around the building, and then went outside. I made video of it. And he's smoking a cigarette outside instead of going in the break room like he was told to. And he proceeds to tell me that I must like him and I want to rape him. Yes. It was an interesting day here with a rogue member from Allied Security. So Dave will do a great job keeping him entertained out there, I'm sure. So, Stacy, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Stacy is dead tired. She's injured, but she's here to give public comment. Her and I spent some time together today. We went over to Littleton to make a complaint. Tell people how that went.
It didn't go very well. The cop
Commander Hal Manler.
was indifferent, or he didn't have any concern, or he mocked me when I told him my husband died, and he asked me what that had to do with anything. He was trying to push my buttons to get me to do something so he could arrest me. That's the way I feel.
Yeah. And so now the targeting continues. And these folks have nowhere to go. They can't even go to shelter in Denver. The shelters are full. Stacy, let's go in the meeting. Are you ready? We're going to sit up front, okay? Shall I push you? Let me push you. Okay, here we go.
And clearly, we are less free today than we were during the founding of this country. Gary Johnson, former governor of New Mexico, said it simply but effectively. When he said, quote, every time you pass a law, it is vilified afterwards. And that is why the benefit does not outweigh the risk. So let's talk about possible solutions without infringing upon people's civil liberties. How about you put screen protectors like Jefferson County and you make them wear headphones? This would be a time, place, and manner restriction that is permissible as it is narrowly tailored to serve a significant government interest while leaving open an ample alternative. Sounds simple enough. So I am still requesting that all rules and standards of behavior policy be lifted. And Ms. Niles, the fact that you have let this standards of behavior nonsense continue for this long is ridiculous. What kind of advice are you giving Mr. Lewis? And Mr. Lewis, after your comment last time that it's illegal to curse in a city facility, I'm now asking City Council to terminate Mr. Lewis. I'm also asking for the immediate resignation of Mr. Ward and Mr. Anderson. And if you don't do so, I will be facilitating a petition to recall on June 6th. Because Sean Lewis, Steve Ward, and Joe Anderson are all in violation of their oath of office, and you are all traitors to the United States of America.
Thank you, Mr. Carwell, for your comments tonight. Any questions for members of the council? Representative. Mr. Gordon, where do you live?
That's none of your business.
Thank you. Member Frank.
Punk ass bitch right there.
So are you saying that Metro libraries actually indeed allow pornography to be libraries?
To my knowledge, they do not anymore, but at the time of this article that I was reading, yes, they used to. They did for several years. So.
No further questions. Thanks for your time tonight. Up next is Vanna Weaver, here for the council regarding the Parks and Rec deal law.
All Joe Anderson wants to know is where he lives.
Good evening. You can just state your name and your address, please.
Hi, my name is Dana Weaver. My cross streets are South Clarkson and Gap. So I've been kind of scrambling to rewrite my speech after hearing some of Christina's depot as one stop along the pollinator corridor, with interpretive signs and historic markers running from the South Side Trail to downtown Englewood. A pollinator corridor to show our pride of the place, to brand us as a solution-oriented city, and make Englewood a destination for visitors. Scrap notes of this. And there are a lot of examples where cities have done this. And it's, one is in Westminster. They have a grand staircase. And it used to be planted with your typical animals, and people would walk up the staircase, not really paying attention to the plants. It got replanted with native and Colorado adapted plants. And it's now a destination. People go there and they stop to watch butterflies and hummingbirds. Another's New York City's Highline, where an abandoned, unsafe elevated train line was replaced with East Coast native habitat, which draws 8 million visitors a year. I've seen it crowded in the dead of winter and on a sultry day in August. I think there's a widespread perception that native plants inherently look wild. And I know that wild is not everyone's aesthetic. Depot was planted in a naturalistic planting style, but native plants are just a palette of plant growth. You could plant in symmetrical rows of color in a traditional style. I heard that somebody near Colorado Springs did a replica of the Versailles Gardens of native plants. So I'm passionate about native plants because they're a problem-solving tool. They provide all the services that conventional plants provide and more. They do not need expensive fertilizers and amendments, daily watering, weekly mowing, or annual replanting. This means less cost and less carbon emissions. They mitigate flooding, clean our air, show pride in where we live, are our best investment in climate resilient landscapes. They bring nature into our urban lives. Most importantly, for children who don't have the privilege of taking trips to the mountains on weekends. And they are beautiful. To me, native plants are common sense. Our open space has the capacity to both provide recreational value and to restore our local ecosystem. A bunch of us are here to speak to how we would like GeoBond funding used. And I want to say that none of us expect change overnight. And none of us are saying remove turf that's used for recreation and for other purposes. Nor are we saying every flower and every park that has to be native. But the city spends tremendous resources planting annuals every year that have little benefit to the ecology. And we would like to see if they
Up next is Ian Dickerson.
Yeah, watch how much interest they have in plants and other things besides homeless people this evening and the abuses of their police department. But Coino, she's going to rip a good one for us here. Listen careful.
In 1792, James Madison wrote that government is instituted to protect the rights of individuals. As stated unequivocally in the Declaration of Independence, our rights pre-exist any government, and the Declaration sets forth what constitutes good government and bad government, and why the tyranny of the British government had to be overthrown. The Constitution is the practical application of the Declaration of Independence. The Constitution specifically acknowledges the pre-existing rights of individuals and specifically prohibits any government interference with or abridgment of the pre-existing rights. That is the supreme law of the land. The assertion of governmental authority over areas of life once considered to be under individual and private control means that the federal government and most states are claiming total ownership of citizens and their property, thus virtually and actually enslaving them. The spirit of freedom that made the U.S. unique in the world, that made us great, the shining city on the hill, provided the basis for resistance against tyranny. And that has been subsumed by those who deny that spirit, by ignoring the Declaration of Independence, ignoring the Constitution, and ignoring the very foundations upon which this nation became great. At the regional town hall Saturday week, and I'll have to paraphrase, a state legislator said, "Oh, some believe in individual rights and more believe that the greater good is more important." Nowhere in the Constitution is government given the authority to determine greater good, or that individual rights are inferior to such a concept. Rights were and are pre-existing and absolute. Liberty is the absolute bedrock, yet that legislator clearly disrespects the spirit of liberty, the Declaration of Independence, and most directly the Constitution. Giving herself the authority to change meanings of the words of the Constitution, change or ignore the history of the founding, impose her tyrannical, constitutionally unsupported beliefs upon citizens in total violation of her oath of office to defend the Constitution first and foremost. And that's what I've been seeing from this council. Because the mayor agreed with her, and the rest of you, well, 5 of you seem to agree with the mayor. In Englewood's Muni Code, there are many instances of unconstitutional, oppressive, contradictory codes and policies. Meaning city staff, city attorney, city manager, city council seem totally ignorant of the Constitution, disregarding it in favor of exercising tyrannical power, which is prohibited by the Constitution, and thus you violate your oath of office. Your oath of office, you swear to it, to put the Constitution first. Every code you pass carries the disclaimer that any portion that is unconstitutional is null and void. Some of the most recent codes, like the Title 16 replacement and the amendments to Title 12 and Title 7, and the standards of conduct, make the code worse and more oppressive and limiting even more our property rights. You undermine our charter with every code revision, enslaving Englewood citizens to unconstitutional state general law, which is contrary to the purpose of our charter. Worst of all, you try to limit public criticism of your actions, calling it slander, threatening citizens with removal because you don't like what they have to say or how they say it. Even on our local level, it is obvious that the slide towards authoritarian state is gaining momentum, and the individual's rights are being undermined. Regional action threatens our independence and further oppresses and removes and threatens individual rights. You have overreached. You cannot grant rights. Rights exist independent of you. You need to protect our rights. Serve us. You are not our bosses. We are your boss. The organizational chart says so. So does the Constitution. It's not your job what you're doing with Tri-Cities and homelessness.
Thank you, Ms. Nicholson, for your comment. Any questions from members of the council? Member Craig?
Thank you. Just a quick question, Ms. Dickerson. You stated that there were threats of removal. Have there been recent incidents that have happened?
Yeah, last meeting, the mayor did.
You threatened to remove someone from the room?
Yeah. Reagan Benson.
Any further questions from members of the council? Member Ray?
Yes, Ms. Dickerson, can you tell me exactly what you're talking about when it comes to property rights? Or property rights in general?
You mean, as far as our property rights being, well,
Yes.
there's a lot of reasons, and I wasn't prepared to go into them because there's just so much.
Okay.
But there was I saw a cartoon, and I couldn't print it out, but I got the wording. So there's this lady, and she's standing on her property, and there's a tax assessor there. So, and so she says, so, as a tax assessor, your job is to charge me for the privilege of living in my home, which I purchased outright. I thought I was the owner of this property. And the assessor says, oh, you own it, but you just have to pay us to use it. And if you want to change your property, you'll need to ask permission and pay us more.
Yep.
Same thing if you want to sell it, the same for ownership. You can't destroy any part of the property.
Ms. Nicholson, are you able to leave us a cartoon just for members of the council to read afterwards?
Well, I'm reading it for everybody.
Member Ray, do you want to listen to the rest of it? Or?
How long is it?
Yeah, just another sentence. You cannot destroy any part of the property. You'll need permission if you want to have a fire in your fireplace, or shoot a gun. Oh, and if we want it, we will just come and take it. You totally own it. That's what's happening here.
Thank you, Ms. Nicholson, for your time tonight. With no further questions, thank you for your comments. Up next is Gary Kozak, here to address council.
I don't know if you can see that. But this is also a plaque that was issued from the city.
Mr. Kozak, if you just state your name and your address for question.
Gary Kozak, Oxford and Hampton. She will pass around the deal that Steve you asked for. I did not send it to you, I brought it personally. And all these papers here have an additional area that you can go to for the open meetings rules. I'm not gonna go into that. This is the plaque and stuff to show that I can verify that somebody on the council decided to say that I really was not a member of city council in the past. I took the same oath back when I was on the council to uphold our charter and state and federal constitution. You guys took that same oath. I wasn't serious for senior members. You took an oath. Now, granted, you're new and people make mistakes once in a while. The last city council meeting was on President's Day. State law, federal law, as well as your own charter states otherwise. And it's supposed to be a federal holiday. I had called the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem on Sunday and made a comment. Steve, you looked it up. You even read it to the council. After reading, went ahead and made a motion to suspend the meeting and reschedule it a week later, and it was seconded. It was even read to you, your charter, your own charter that you're supposed to be swore to abide by. And yet you turned around and let the meeting go on, which then also could be constituted a violation of open meetings law, because open meeting laws, you're only allowed one subject, which you violated several times. 5 members there that voted to go ahead and continue with the meeting. If you wondered why there was a lot of people that didn't show up for your boards, which you would recognize, it's because they were under the same auspice, and all governmental bodies are closed on federal holidays. Violation of your oath. This isn't the only violation of your oath. The night the city council approved Code Next on final reading, changes were made on the ordinance. There was a motion to send it back to the P and Z. Oh, wait a minute, by the charter. It's in your own charter. And if you make variations on final reading, it must go back to the P and Z, which is fatal to give a second to that motion. That's violating the charter. You swore to it. You also violated several times, moving up to that final reading, of the open meetings law. Because you kept scheduling new meetings. Emergency meeting, emergency meeting. Emergency meeting is an open meeting regulation. One subject only. But that's all right. You guys are cool. You're doing your thing. That's another one that you had done. Now, 1 minute. The referendum that was passed on the Sands Automotive site. The city manager stood right here on the record and stated that you must have a traffic study and not the developer's estimated traffic study. And yet you passed it anyway. And then you turned around when we turned in enough votes, and a trained group of people went ahead and stated that we turned in enough. We had 1,700 votes and we went almost to 1,500 that were validated. You just threw out all everybody's vote because you allowed that project to go on. There was a protest. The protest had an amendment and it was turned in too late. The signatures were never put on there, and you all that were on the board at that time sitting there.
Okay, your 5 minutes are up. Thanks for your comments tonight. Any questions for Mr. Kozak? Seeing none, Mr. Kozak, thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Up next is Alicia White, your Treasurer's Counsel. Alicia here. All right. No, okay. Up next is Kathy Connolly, your Treasurer's Counsel regarding the Englewood Park proposal to retain. Go on. Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, Ms. Connolly, if you can state your name, your address, or cross streets.
My name is Kathy Conley. My cross streets are Amherst and Downey. I would like to thank Englewood Parks and Rec for all of the work done from field on, and to say as a resident and supporter. In hearing the presentation today, it was very helpful to hear your comments on the prioritization we're going to have to do. What I'd like to ask is that we prioritize native plants and the turf replacement. As I read the proposal, it seemed that it was the smaller parks that had native plants called out specifically. So if you have to reprioritize your projects, I'd like to ask that you look at native plants getting fed into those larger projects. Native plants look different than what residents are used to, and we'd like to ask that there also be an opportunity for engagement and education of the community. If we look at the Bellevue Farm in Railroad, which I love, it's delightful, with all of those kids there, it's a great opportunity to have perhaps a pollinator park or a demonstration garden there that they can then take home. If you have a store at that park, and a gift shop, then we'd like to see materials about native plants, seed how many people are looking to have that kind of education and information. Finally, it seems like native plants is treated as its own distinct thing, but it actually meets so many aspects of the strategic plan in terms of your community well-being, your economy, your sustainability, and your neighborhoods. So rather than looking at it as distinctly separate, I think it would be great if we did more integration, as this is the land from which we came, it is the land in which we live, and it is the land in which our generations ahead of us will be living. And the sooner we incorporate our native plants into being more of a commonplace rather than a separate, I think we will be able to, as you said, your sustainable growth is to use the resources for the benefit of current and future generations. So we ask that it stop being treated as a separate, special little thing, but realize that it's integral to our well-being here in the city of ENGLEWOOD. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Conley, for your testimony.
Lots of applause for plants tonight.
Any questions from member? Any questions from Ms. Conley? Sorry. Seeing none, Ms. Conley, thank you for your time today. All right,
More applause.
let's give a public, or schedule public comment, and move straight to schedule public comment. We have two, four,
We got a lot more talk about plants. Not a lot, probably three or four people. Gonna give a 3-minute talk now. Then Stacy, then me.
Good evening, my name is Kathy Woody, I live in the 3800 block on South Grant, just one block west of the high school. Little by little, I have been xeriscaping my backyard. Because I got tired of mowing. And I got tired of paying a lot of money to water every spring, summer, fall. So I've got about 25% of it done. I'm gonna do another 25% this summer, thanks to ENGLEWOOD partnering with lawn replacement team resource center. My project was just recently approved by them, and as you know, they will remove the sod from this area in my backyard at a significantly reduced rate for me. For years, I loved planting annual flowers. I would spend literally hundreds of dollars every spring. And then every fall, I'd pull them up, throw them in the trash, and I would wonder, how do I do this? But year after year, I do it again. I'm done with that now, except for a few pots. I am thrilled to see the sustainability component to city council's retreats. How do you say that? Plan. It would seem we're on the same page when it comes to replacing turf and annual flowers with drought-resistant, Colorado native, low-maintenance pollinating plants and grasses. From personal experience, I know that it's hard to change the way things have been done, but I also know it's possible, especially if taken in small doses. So I would suggest keep the annual planters, the annual flower planters on Broadway that were created on Broadway specifically for that purpose. But replant one of the city gardens, I'm thinking specifically of the one at Broadway exit. It has to be planted soon, why not plant it with native plants? I was encouraged to hear Parks and Rec talk about the native plants in some of the parks. But I think more could be done, maybe especially when you're talking about the roadways or the pathways, maybe some native plants would be there. I would encourage City Council to engage in a special study session with guest speakers from Colorado Springs and Greeley to inform on the benefits of sustainable planning, what has worked for them and what hasn't. These cities have come a long way in bringing these ideas to fruition.
Ms. Woody, thank you very much for your time. Member Wright and then Member Russell.
Thank you. You say Colorado Springs in River City or in Trail? Thank you.
Member Russell?
And my question for you is, you said, planting native plants at one of the exits from Englewood?
Yeah,
Which
there's,
one?
you know, the little city gardens that are just scattered all over. There's one as you're exiting 285 on Broadway. There's one right there. And every year it's planted with annuals. It's free, but every year they do what I do. They pull them up, they throw it away. It's just money down the drain. That, so start with those little places. Okay, for the neighborhood.
All right, thank you, I appreciate that.
Ms. Wood, just one question for me, more of a clarification. So you're okay with the annual on Broadway?
Well, you know the metal, sculptures that are there?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They're made for annual plants.
Okay.
Yeah. You're right.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Woody. With no further questions, thanks for your time tonight. Up next is Michael Chisholm, here to also
Doing
talk
all right.
about the Parks and Rec.
She's finding more good stuff.
Good evening, Mr. Chisholm, if you just state your name and your address.
Roger Chisholm, 3,000 block of South Pyramid. Mayor Sierra, council members, thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts on how the Parks and Rec general obligation bond is being used. First, I want to thank Parks and Rec for the great job they're doing. As a volunteer who has prepared, planted, and weeded in our flower beds, I've enjoyed working with the staff, and I appreciate all the support that they provide. But my main purpose is to encourage Parks and Rec and Council to more fully embrace biodiversity, healthy soil, and regenerative landscaping practices. Parks has been open to experimentation and exploring new approaches. Englewood's pollinator garden is the best example of this. The biochar experiment in front of the rec center is another. While such efforts are encouraging to many volunteers and residents, they should be seen as preliminary steps towards new best practices. Instead of, quote, cleaning up landscaping areas in the fall, mulching over the winter should be used as a way of enhancing the soil and supporting native insects and birds. There's a tried and true thing in traditional gardening, say going back the last 20 years, where we don't do it naturally. And there's a movement afoot now to try to be more natural and more regenerative. Instead of fertilizing with petrochemicals, we should be using compost and biochar. Instead of planting annuals, we should be transitioning to perennials and Colorado scape plants. Colorado scape plants, by the way, are native plants in Colorado, and those are being used in the pollinator garden. I'm encouraged to see that native plantings are in the plans that we heard tonight. And I'm also glad to see that we talk about improved landscaping in those plants. I'm just hoping that we get more specific. So please, let these initial steps towards sustainable biodiversity and healthy soils lead to other projects, new best practices, and increasing the scale and scope of these new efforts. I hope the council will do more to learn more and to support Parks and Rec in their efforts to learn and to apply these new methods. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chisholm, for your time tonight. Any questions from Mr. Chisholm? Actually, I have one, Mr. Chisholm. If this council so chooses to move in this direction, I know that Ms. Weaver's kind of taking that phased approach. And since you are the chair of the Sustainability Commission, it seems like a perfect project for your commission to analyze what that phased approach may be. Is that something that you would consider looking at? We've heard of the annual parts of park.
Absolutely. And the Sustainability Commission, and I'm not here as a member of the Sustainability Commission, I'm here as a
I'm
citizen.
gonna try to
We've supported the pollinator garden in a spiritual manner. We volunteer, we get involved. We don't have any authority or influence directly, but we cheer on all the volunteers, Dan in particular, and we love what's going on over there. It's a success story, and I think Englewood should be bragging about what's going on over there, and I think we ought to duplicate it, replicate it over and over.
Okay, how long is this
Save
presentation
money.
gonna go?
If you talk to the folks in Parks and Recs that are on the ground, working in the time, it's saving water, it's all.
Everybody else gets cut
So
off, not
why
this
don't
guy
we
though.
go? And it doesn't all have to look like that particular space. There are other models used in the process.
The mayor picks and chooses who can talk.
So I took that as a yes, so.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time tonight. Up next is Kara, and I'm gonna switch to the last name.
Ranger Penny.
Penny? Penny?
Ranger Penny.
Ranger Penny. Hello.
Thank you,
Can you
Sean.
just state your name and your address for questions?
Cara Ranger Penny, so I'm here to also talk about the parks grant, and echo that we heard already this evening, with the native landscaping and sustainability practices when it comes to our parks. Super thrilled to hear that native landscaping is a component of the project.
I don't think this building is very compliant with ADA.
I love how
just
parks
say
are
it.
doing this. I mean, we've got a lot of green spaces and that's fantastic. And I think the enhancements to the parks will be really beneficial to our community, and just to Englewood overall. And I think, I think it's really important to see more Colorado-friendly and sustainable solutions when it comes to how the parks are landscaped. There are a lot of annual beds, that we see replanted every year, but it's extremely costly. And, the native plant solutions, cut back on a lot of that. Colorado is known for its wildflowers. I mean, we've got festivals for wildflowers. People flock here every summer to see wildflowers. And there's no reason why we can't have this in our own backyard, right here. And why Englewood can't be a destination for people to come and see the wildflowers. What was done over at Depot Park is beautiful. If you had a chance to walk through there, it's gorgeous. And the plants bloom at all, various times throughout the summer. There's always something blooming. And so, not everybody can get to mountains. So I think it's really important to have that close to home, so that everybody can have the same opportunities and the same, plants, wildlife, they attract, pollinators, birds, they all rely on these native species. And, certain species of butterflies can only lay their eggs on certain plants, and so, it's just extremely important. And I think, another area that I just want to point out is the greenbelt access to the South Clark, Trail across from Depot Park. It's an eyesore. It's so heavily used by bikers. People drive down there every day. It's visible by their car. I mean, that's a perfect opportunity,
So the talk about the plants has to do with a bond that they did a presentation on for some planting project, blah, blah, blah.
Thank you very much for your time tonight, Ms. Ranger Penny. Any questions?
Stacy, just
And
gonna
I think
turn
we're ready for your time.
around here. I think so.
Up next is, Diane from
Oh, maybe not. Is that brake on that side? I just want to move you here so you're ready. Because that would be the microphone.
My name is Diana Tomaso. I live on South Carmel Circle. I'd like to thank council for the opportunity to speak tonight. It was wonderful to see the progress that's been made in terms of parks land and the integration of the plans into our local parks and other unused areas. And I think it's clear that
Oh yeah, they want a special study session for plants. But homelessness and police corruption, yeah, no.
integrating native plant use within multiple city departments that meet not only parks, but urban forests, streetscapes, floodplains, and groups developing placemaking concepts. He or she could also address new best practices for plant selection, installation, and maintenance that support and enhance the survival of native tree shrubs and perennials to grow and mature over the course of multiple years, as opposed to being ripped out regularly as annuals are. Creating educational programs to train city staff and volunteers in the installation and maintenance of native plants, and hiring specialized contractors who are familiar with this. Also addressing a variety of design to create visually engaging native plant gardens, where lawns and annuals play a secondary role. And the speaker to address ecological and sustainability of native plant use for critical applications such as assisting in floodplain control. Thank you.
Mr. Russell, thank you very much for your time tonight. Number right.
Ms. Costa, do you know of, or have you ever attended any speakers that have addressed the things that we're talking about that you recommend somebody?
Yes, actually, I just attended a conference within the last few weeks dedicated to the use of Colorado municipal landscape. And there were a whole variety of local and national speakers that were present there. And I'm sure it would be quite easy to find somebody. I think it would be good to specifically focus on somebody who's integral to a municipality stand-up. Because I think that their insights would be most valuable to us as a community.
Yeah, I would agree. I would be with what we have to for water with some issues.
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic, thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, Ms. Mata, thanks for your time tonight. Up next is Stacy with no last name given here to speak about homelessness. Good evening, Stacy.
Good evening.
Do you state your name and your address request?
My name is Stacy, and I don't have an address. I'm homeless. I sleep under a pine tree. That happened because my husband passed away 2 years ago. I was forced into homelessness because I was evicted. I couldn't afford to rent on my own. I'm not perfect. I didn't have anything 3 times the amount of rent. I was forced into it, not by my own choice. And then I began to be treated horribly. I had a good paying job. I just lost my home. And then after I lost my husband and my home, they laid me off. Then I started being harassed by police in the park for trying to rest. I was being harassed for trying to use the bathroom. Everyone has a right to live. Everyone has a right to defecate. Everyone has a right to urinate. Everyone has a right to rest. It makes you crazy if you don't, or if you can't. Just imagine your bathroom door is being locked all night long and you have to get up and go to the bathroom. You can't. You can't. You legally have no right between the hours of 6 p.m. when the bathroom's closed and 7 p.m. if you're lucky to open it for you. That is a horrible, horrible feeling that you're going to defecate in your pants or urinate yourself. I don't deserve that as a 55-year-old woman. I don't. I have been hurt on the street. I am vulnerable on the street. And nobody seems to care. I just keep being harassed. Move along, move along. You have to get up. You don't belong here. Where do I belong? Where is there a safe place that I can be legally? No, at the sidewalk. That's what I was told today. The sidewalk by a Littleton police officer. You can sleep on the sidewalk. I've been harassed by ENGLEWOOD police as well at different parks. I can't stay in the same place at all. I have to move every single night for fear, in fear of being harassed, in fear of being unsafe, of being violated in some way. I don't deserve that. I pay taxes. I have all my life. And this is the way I'm being treated by the people who are supposed to protect and serve me. Nobody's doing anything about it. In fact, homelessness as a violation of the right to life The obligation to prevent and eliminate homelessness is also derived from the obligation of states to protect the right of life enshrined in Article 6 of the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights. Homelessness, in particular, if individuals are exposed to it over and over for a longer time or repeatedly, does not only result in early preventable death, it also violates the right of individuals to enjoy a life with dignity. You all have dignity, but you don't consider that I have any. I'm here today speaking from my heart for all homeless people out there. We're not all the same. We're not all drug addicts. We're not all alcoholics. Some of us don't want to be homeless. But yet we're treated the same as if we were a drug addict or an alcoholic.
Stacy, thank you very much for your time tonight. Thank you for speaking. Any right after
I'll be back to speak some more. I doubt you have any questions for me because plants are more important.
Member Wright does have a question for you, Stacy. Did you want to take your question or no?
You have a question?
We have-
Okay.
We have 2 questions.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi.
From my heart, I am sorry that you were going through the things that you were going through. Have you been able to reach out to some of the services that are available?
I have reached out to all services. I am on every housing list there is, and I've been told a 3 to 4 year waiting list.
I see that you're in a wheelchair and you have something going on. Have you reached out to Atlantis?
I don't know what Atlantis is.
Okay, if we have a break in here, I'll give you their information.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Wright. Member Crane.
Good evening, Stacy, thanks for being here tonight. Just a quick question, have there been recent incidents where you've not been allowed to use restrooms around the city or told to move along?
What restroom is open after 6 p.m. in a park?
Say that again?
What restroom is open after 6 p.m. in a park?
So you're just speaking in general to like the timeframes in which you have.
Yeah, I'm
access
not
to-
allowed to use the restroom after 6 p.m. and not until 7 a.m. in the morning because there's no place open. No gas station, 7-Eleven won't let you in. Denny's won't let you in. You tell me how I'm supposed to relieve myself.
Thank you.
With no further questions, Stacy, give you a rest.
Thank you.
Up next is Rick and Heston with the public hearing. Good evening, Ms. Heston. Please state your name and your address for property.
Good evening. As you have all been made aware on the record in both email and public comment for me on the issues I've brought before you, tonight I'm just going to state facts on the record with more questions. The only department head still not having received his annual raise, Judge Jefferson. Why? From a records request that I obtained, you, Mr. Mayor, sent the judge an email asking to meet with him. And in this email, you told him that Joe Anderson would be in the meeting as well. Why? In this email, you did not state this meeting would occur within public view and on the record. Why? In this email, you failed to validate the reason you requested that 3 elected officials meet off the public record. Why? Are you, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem Joe Anderson, attempting to influence the judge by chance? An elected judge? You know that's a crime, right? Yep. Why won't you give the elected judge his raise without private discussion with him? Without private discussion with him first. Next, it's no secret, all documented in writing for you all now, what your police department is doing to ensure less transparency for the public as it continues to not address its rogue officers through any viable internal affairs processes that nobody in this city gives a rip about. All the while doubling down on ensuring body cam footage is never released, especially to anyone that dare make it more public. $2,000 to show 3 interactions the public had with your police department, and you're all just going to ignore that, huh? We also know that since I, having made a request for body cam footage for a potential police assault on a citizen that occurred on October 15th, Your police department has since collaborated with the DA's office to issue a warrant for that person assaulted by the police, but not until February 25th, 2024, more than 4 months later. Why? This would be the same DA's office that just cleared one of your officers in a fatal shooting where the officer just entirely forgot to even wear his body cam. And lo and behold, there wasn't a single witness to the fatal shooting. Why do you think these things are happening? We also know now with 90% certainty who the individuals are in your police department that released body cam footage of me to your former city prosecutor, Ian Griffin. Oh yeah, Tri-Cities homelessness? Yeah, they continue to meet in private as well. Thank you. Why?
Thank you, Ms. Benson, for your time. Any questions?
How did you find out that, or is it public record that the body cam footage, that you just mentioned, how did you find out who they had, harassed or, you just said they find
I mentioned that I was able to figure out who the individuals are in the police department that released body cam footage of me.
Okay, but you also said that there was some body cam footage, the person that, the officer that didn't wear his body cam and,
That is a report released by the district attorney's office.
okay, that's what I was asking, it's public record, correct?
Yes, that is public record, and it's actually posted for the public to see on the Englewood Police Department Facebook page about 10 days ago.
So it was an Englewood police officer?
It was an Englewood police officer, Matthew Stanley.
Thank you.
Member Wright?
Okay, I missed one part. You said there was a 10/15, October 15th something, and I didn't get the vote. I was writing.
Well, it's all on your email. I've sent you lots of
Oh,
emails
okay.
documenting the October 15th body cam request.
Okay, and then when was he charged? This month?
A warrant was issued for his arrest, February 25th, 2024.
That's what I needed. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from members of council? Seeing none, Ms. Benson, thank you for your time tonight. Up next is Nicole Flounders, here to also speak about San Luis. Good evening, Ms. Flounders, if you could just state your name and your address and talking.
So having two young children, we spend a lot of time at the parks. We love that Englewood has so many great parks so close. And one of the things that we also like to see is more native plants. This last year, we actually removed all of the dirt from our home lawn.
Oh, I gotcha.
We got the dirt that put it on and it's a great process. But we did take advantage of the partnership with Resource Central, which was wonderful. We got 200 native government plants.
I don't know why it is, every time I read my speech, their clock just ticks a little bit faster than mine. I never get my full,
Really quick.
you,
The 3 minutes went by really quick.
you are like off the chain, incredible, from the heart. Holy
Yes.
shit, you are so well-spoken.
Thank you.
Like,
It just came out of me. It just, I came for that reason. It just came out of me.
unreal, Stacy.
I took public speaking, broadcasting. I went to school for it. I worked for unions before. I've been to rallies. I'm about speaking up for my rights and the rights of others. Just like you are.
See how things are meant to be for one
It's the
reason or
reason why
another?
we met, right?
So, Stacy and I have a lot to figure out about what's going to go on for the rest of the night. So, I'm going to have to leave this live because I'm sure Fuckboy is still out here.
Sure.
Oh, my neck.
You wanna walk out?
Have you seen that guy again? Well, hopefully he got smart and left. Yeah, he's a fucking moron. And he's asking for it. Thank you.
Why would you make sure they get out safe?
Yeah, I will see that these VIP get to.
This VIP.
Call me if you need anything.
Thank you.
Guys, have a good night.
Stacy, you have
Thank
any
you.
Oh, yeah. It just all came out of me.
Dwight,
Then I ran out of time.
we're gonna go,
We can go down the elevator.
yeah,
or
we gotta
can
go down
on
the elevator,
Whatever you wanna do.
down the elevator.
I'm not butt scooting down those stairs, that's for sure.
See, this is what I'm talking about. The best allied security staff ever in the history of their company. It's the truth, because we have been through a lot of shit with allied security over the years.
I knew somebody who worked for Allied Security. It was a lady. She didn't like me, no.
Of educated folks that are here right now with allied security to learn to work with people that already know how to work with people. They don't need to learn it. They already know how.
We've been programmed to just say, yes, sir, no, sir.
Yep.
And just do what they say. We've all been programmed. But
Yeah, Dwight, we're just going to my car here.
you got to speak up. And then there's sometimes on the street, you can't speak up.
Amen.
Hey, how are you? Oh, you
About the person that's coming?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I understand.
That lip right there, I couldn't.
Yeah, it's hard though.
My car is just right here up front.
I'm honored to get to do this.
Did, I think Fuckboy left. So,
Oh, you mean that young kid, the LA guy?
no, from Sheridan.
Oh, that.
About plans tonight.
Well, there's this thing on the agenda.
That way.
Okay,
Or we can go through here.
yeah, we can do it.
And then she's just got to get in the car and,
Let him grow some fruit trees so I have something to eat.
yeah, so the stuff, if you just wheel her up to there, she can get out.
Well, you guys have a fantastic day and thanks for coming out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all you do.
Well, of course. Thank you, Dwight. We appreciate you very much.
I'll give you a fist bump. My hands are slightly.
No, I got you.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
You got the check?
I got it.
Okay.
Stacy and I have been maneuvering all day. So, Stacy fell off a bus. I know. Does she speak
such a
amazingly or
powerful
what?
That was?
Oh, yeah, I was like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys, we'll just keep this right here for just a minute. Take a little drink. Just so you know, those vehicles are still over there from the other day.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I've been, my family's been like, my dad used to be a baker in New Mexico. Right.
Sorry. Hang tight for just a second. I want you guys to see. Here we go. So, I talked to you the other day about how the homeless have no right to exist and survive, and how I often look at certain government property and go, wow, this would make a good shelter, outdoor, indoor, whatever. We could keep people safe and warm in an area like this. A covered parking garage that literally never has a garage full of vehicles. So there's this lower level and the upper level. Well, apparently, somebody gets a special favor here. And this person runs one of those workspaces. And it's over in that building right next to the municipal center. It's my understanding that the city, which is the people, owns all of the property. But the building that's separate from this municipal center over there has some private businesses in it. Except this is a public parking garage with signs all over the place that say 4-hour limit, right? Now, dare a homeless individual try to seek any sort of shelter in some place like this, right? But you can be a dealer and have free storage here for vehicles that you're selling. Now, isn't that convenient? So I've been noticing these for months sitting here, and they'll rotate out and new ones will come in. This thing must be broken down. I don't know what its deal is. No plates. But I told folks the other day, do not call code enforcement. Do not call ENGLEWOOD code enforcement to actually do their job, right? Well, code enforcement will show up if it's a homeless person in a vehicle trying to live in a vehicle. They'll definitely show up for that. There's no hypocrisy going on here whatsoever. Code enforcement will show up. We've seen it before on video. Code enforcement will show up, then the cops will show up, and then next thing you know, they'll be calling Dick's Towing, and we're going to be standing out on the street telling them to go fucking kick rocks, and we'll have a big to-do out on the public street, but I can't be there all the time, right? So there's no hypocrisy going on here in ENGLEWOOD. And tonight's topic on the agenda was some GEO grant bullshit that they got for money to plant flowers and do all this shit in the parks and all the roadways and all the right-of-ways where there's plant space and this and that. So you got every botanist in the world coming to the city council meeting because they are the expert. Listen, I love plants, and I'm very, very good with Colorado plants. I am a native plant master, and that's the truth. I love plants. Do I love government and plants combined? Abso-fucking-lutely not. So yeah. So right over there, you got RTD and light rail, right? So this was all supposed to be parking for people that used public transportation. Well, our public transportation system is pure shit, so nobody uses it anymore. So this is actually no RTD parking, apparently, I don't know, in this row. And then that's this second row. This first row seems to have no signage whatsoever. And then that is the ramp that goes up to the top of the garage. And then light rail runs right along there. RTD stands for Regional Transportation District, more commonly known as Reason to Drive in the metro area. So it looks like Fuckboy didn't want to stick around and... I'm sorry. I'm assuming Fuckboy didn't want to stick around to get some B-roll footage of you to sell to the other Fuckboy FT.
Yeah.
You okay, hon?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm a little worked up. That woke me up. The adrenaline's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were on fire. That was one hell of a delivery, Stacy.
I didn't even know I was going to do that. That wasn't planned.
Then somebody was speaking to you right from
Yeah.
the heart. And that, yeah, that was amazing, Stacy.
Thank you.
So we got to get her wheelchair in the car, and then I have to figure out what's going to go down. So, I'll be back. So this, yeah, it folds in half. If you tip it to its side, it'll fold. So this out first. And then that's gonna go in. That'll go in.
I can tip it over.
Yeah, if you tip it,
Oh.
yeah, it just kind of. And I put the So we're just gonna get her wheelchair in the car. I was trying to show you guys this necklace to entertain you. That's pretty cool shit, isn't it? I found this the other day. Sterling silver. That's pretty nice, huh?
You know what?
Did it go?
Yeah, I got it.
No, it's perfect.
Can
Okay.
you get Stacy, Kim Wright's email? Or can you email her? Because she was going to give her that information.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There is no resource that she's not connected. She connects with other resources that connect with those resources that connect with the other resources.
So, and I'm sure you already know about those resources anyway, so.
I never heard of that one she's talking about.
Oh, okay.
But I will, yeah, Stacy, I'll give you her email, of course. Okay, we're loaded up once again. The adventures we go on. All right. Excellent. See you later. Thank you for your help. Appreciate it. All right. And then on top of that, we have rails right there. So Burlington Northern runs through here. Runs freight trains through here. Yeah. There's RTD. A homeless individual was murdered over there last year. And another woman was raped brutally over there. So anyway, let's get in the car. Let's put this right here for just a second. Let's say hi to our friends.
Hello, friends.
There we go.
Hello, friends.
So you've seen Stacy. We've talked with Stacy before. Back in January, we dropped her off at church one morning after we helped her out at a shelter that night, right? Is that how that worked out? And then we got a hotel for you for a little while, and she continues to plug away. And every day is a challenge to figure out where they're going to go next, what they're going to do, how they're going to use the bathroom, how they're going to eat, how they're not going to go to jail. It starts to, I would lose my shit. I would lose my mind. I don't know how really most everyone doesn't resort to some kind of fix in substance use. I would be, there'd be no fucking way I could handle that. I'm just going to be straight
That's
up.
why so many people on the streets use drugs. That's why they fall into it. A lot of them didn't choose homelessness. Some did. Some did.
Yeah,
A lot of them.
we don't disagree about that. But you've been out here for 2 years, Stacy.
Yes.
1 year in your car.
And 1 year on the street.
Her car broke down. Car was no good anymore. Couldn't afford to get it fixed. Got towed. Do I have that right?
Got towed, yes.
Lost that shelter.
Lost my safety.
Yeah. In a big way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're gonna work through some stuff, and I really want to thank you guys for being in here. And I guess
Thank you for listening and caring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do. These people do. They care.
Mwah.
on a side note, this morning. Oh yeah, okay, Pokemon. I'm not quite sure what that is about, but yeah. There's a little bit of a lag, so I always try to give people a little bit of time before we. Yeah. Thanks, Irish.
Thank you.
Beautiful ladies. Hey, did you get my email? Adrian, I did. I apologize. I didn't respond. I don't have time. I really apologize. There's just not only this going on, I got a lot of other things going on. So I do apologize. All right, you guys. Well, we're going to head out because we got to figure out where Stacy's going to stay. So thanks. And yeah.
Till next time.
See you next time.